evening, I'd like to talk to some of my younger viewers, kids who are maybe in their teens or middle school age, kids who are dealing with some of this bullying type of stuff that's going on. The first question I'd like to ask is, did you know that bullying is actually in the Bible? It is. It's in 2 Kings chapter 2, verses 23. This is a story, we're at the point with the prophets where Elijah has turned over his mantle to Elisha, who was one of his disciples. And Elijah goes up in a whirlwind to God. And Elisha is now going to carry on the work of a major prophet walking on the earth amongst Israel. So what has happened is Elisha's going about his work, and as he goes about his work and he's performed some miracles, the Bible tells us he went up from where he had just performed this miracle to Bethel. And as he was going up by the way, young boys came out from the city and mocked him. And they said to him, "Go up, you bald head. Go up, you bald head." And they were like saying, "Aha, aha, aha, you're bald headed." When he looked behind him and saw them, he cursed them in the name of the Lord. And 2 female bears came out of the woods and tore up 42 boys in their number. So it was 42 boys that were actually gathering around Elisha and taunting him and bullying him as he was going about his work amongst the people of Israel. And after the 2 female bears come out of the woods and tear these 42 boys up, the Bible tells us Elisha continues on from there to Mount Carmel, and from there he returns to Samaria. So he's doing his work while he's minding his own business. 42 boys. There's this pack mentality, this Lord of the Flies thing that goes on. 42 boys approach him, tease him about having a bald head, and they know that they're coming up against a prophet of the Lord. So I really don't understand that. But he curses them, and in his cursing of them, because remember, God gave us in the book of Genesis dominion over the earth. We've got dominion over the flowers, over the trees, over the animals. When Adam was charged with naming the animals and naming, everything, the beasts of the field and things that flew in the air and crawled along the ground, we were given dominion. And I believe it was out of that dominion that in the distress of Elisha, as he's being taunted, he curses the boys. These bears come out of the woods, and these boys receive this retribution. What I would say to the young people listening to this and the young people who are struggling with bullying and things like that is that the retribution may not be in the form of a bear. But one of the things that we adults say is the best revenge is living well. And I have to tell you that, biblically, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And there's a lot of truth to that. And what that means is you may be suffering now. Your weeping may endure for a night, but you better believe and receive this, that joy will come in the morning. And what that means is things are going to turn around. The power is going to turn around. With these boys teasing Elisha, it was 42-1. And then it ended up being 2-42. And those 2 bears handled those 42 boys. Life has a way of dealing with bullies. It has a way. And so I would speak to the young people with regard to their distress and the stress that they're under, because this is serious business. Kids, from a psychology perspective, you don't decision make from your frontal lobe. Your frontal lobe doesn't really fire on a functional MRI until you're about 24 years old. So what that means is, what we know from functional MRIs is your brain, when you make decisions, is firing from the amygdala region, which is the very primitive part of the brain, the fight or flight, freeze or fall down portion of the brain. Is very instinct driven. And so what I would say to you is, first of all, the bullies themselves aren't operating with full frontal lobes. So we've got this pack mentality, this Lord of the Flies thing happening, them operating from the place of the amygdala. But at the same time, as far as how you feel and how you feel with regard to coping with bullying and that type of thing, you are coming from also a place of this primitive portion of the brain. And so I would just want to remind you that although your weeping may endure for a night, truly, things are going to turn around in your favor. And I know it's hard to see now, especially operating from a position where you don't have the benefit of the life experience that someone older than you has, where we know as we go along, as we navigate this world,